Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Now, was our slippery Tory Minister Michael Gove really hit with an excellent, important zinger? Now, this was in the Housing and Communities Committee where former Prime Minister, no, not that one, not Liz Truss, the other one, Boris Johnson, where he did make a number of outlandish statements, but this one, he made a bold statement that he had single-handedly fixed social care. Well, Mohammad Yasif of the Labour Party asked the Secretary of State for Levelling Up, Michael Gove, if this was true. Well, let's just say, from the deepest depth of Parliament right through to the House of Commons chamber, there must have been brain cogs whirring during this Michael Gove interview.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome, Secretary of State. In his last speech before he resigned Prime Minister, as Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he had fixed social care. Do you agree with this statement?
Well, we were on the verge of fixing it, and I think
it wasn't fixed, as you said.
Well, I think I don't want to get into semantics, and I don't want to be unfair to Boris. The Dilnot proposals are and were excellent proposals, but we've had to put them on ice.
Okay, and considering in the recent autumn statement, the cap on social care costs has been delayed. So what are the government's plans to fix this problem in adult social care?
Well, as I mentioned, the Dilnot proposals are a powerful and effective way of providing people with the reassurance and peace of mind that we'd all like to see. But difficulties in implementing them on time and the short-term pressures that local government faces have meant that we've delayed the implementation of those proposals for 2 years. During that time, the money that we're making available will be used in order to give local authorities more flexibility in addressing some of the problems in social care. It's also the case that there are other questions about the nature of the workforce and also what happens in hospitals when it comes to faster discharge that are being tackled in what I think is a constructive way. But the high hopes that all of us had about the progress that we could make have been derailed partly by COVID and partly by other inflationary pressures. I know that it's very boring when government ministers keep referring back to those two phenomena as reasons for the difficulties that we face, but they are unarguably, very big factors that have made everyone's life more difficult.
In 2015 until 17, I was portfolio holder for adult services, including social care, and the problem was there even then. Why is it taking so long to this government to fix it, or getting anywhere near to fix it?
Well, I think it's a massive problem because I'd say two things. The first is it's a good thing overall that we have that people are living for longer. As they live for longer, as you know better than me, the call on adult social care grows, and ultimately that has to be funded by one of several routes, by an individual's savings, but we don't want to penalise prudence. We want to make sure that people do feel that it won't be the case that the infirmities that some people will face will mean that their savings will go, whereas the illnesses that other people face will mean that their savings won't. That's basic inequity that we sought to address. The second thing is, in the absence of people self-funding and drawing down their own savings, then it is the responsibility of local government and the taxpayer to provide care. But again, when there are so many other calls on the Exchequer, as we were discussing earlier, and resources are tight, it is difficult. Final thing that I would say is adult social care, of course, is the biggest pressure, but also children's social care is a growing pressure as well. More and more children, and this is a mercy, are being born and surviving and living with conditions that in the past would have, what's the best way of putting it? Well, we're in a position where the range and the nature of the diagnosis of conditions that children are living with is better Demands, therefore, on services are greater, so we need to meet those demands alongside the adult social care demands. So I think it's a network of issues that are not susceptible to a single, simple solution.
I just found it hilarious when he asked that question, because you could tell that what our Boris Johnson was talking about was just all bollocks, wasn't it? And you could tell he was thinking, how on earth am I going to get out of this one? The facial features were absolutely hilarious, because you could hear his brain ticking, couldn't you? Now, we all know he's quite the slippery one, our Michael Gove, isn't he? And he always seems to have an answer for anything. Well, apart from testing his eyesight for a trip to Barnard Castle, I suppose. But you could tell he looked more than a little uncomfortable, didn't he? But anyway, leave your comments below. And until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.